Well, just a handful of races are going to determine which party will control the Senate. CNN senior data reporter Harry Enton is here to run the numbers. So, Harry, where do we stand on the most pivotal races for the Senate?
I know I feel like we've done this every week, and we're getting closer and closer and closer to Election Day, and it seems like things are getting tighter and tighter and tighter. So, look, this is the Democrats' road to keeping 50 Senate seats. They likely must win 3 of these 4 within margin of error races. So, the easiest at this point looks like Arizona. Mark Kelly, the incumbent Democrat, up by 3 points there, although that's within the margin of error. Look at how close Pennsylvania and Georgia are. Look at that. 1-point races, Fetterman up, Warnock up by a point. That's really way too close to call. And Nevada is tied. So at this point, Georgia would be the 50th Senate seat. If the polls were exactly right, Democrats would keep their majority by the thinnest of margins. But again, well within the margin of error, just really tight, Pam.
And as we know, polls aren't always exactly right. But it's interesting because these 3 is what Chuck Schumer said in his hot mic moment, that whoever wins 2 of these 3 will have the majority.
Exactly.
So we'll have to wait and see. All right, so let's zoom in on Georgia. It's such an interesting race. Been a lot of drama there surrounding Herschel Walker. How are these scandals doing there? Are they scaring off potential voters? Do voters not care?
And to me, it looks like voters don't really care. So let's take a look. We're going to divide this, my slow draw down the line, today versus October 1st. And essentially what we see is, if anything, there are more undecided voters. 47% for Raphael Warnock, 46% for Herschel Walker. Look at this, though. 3% for Chase Oliver. We never ever really talk about libertarian candidates, but why do I have that candidate on the screen, right? Yep. Why? The reason why is because in Georgia you need 50% of the vote plus 1 in order to advance or win the race without a runoff. At this particular point, we would in fact probably be heading towards a runoff, which would not occur until all the way in December. So if it comes down to Georgia, we might not know who has won Senate control until December, which means we can have more fun on these Saturday nights.
There you go, keeping you in business there, Harry. All right, so Democrats, they have Barack Obama on the campaign trail. He was just speaking there in Milwaukee. Will he be an effective surrogate?
Yeah, so I think the question is, why would you trot out the old president, right? He left office back in 2017, nearly 6 years ago. My goodness, how does time fly? I remember when he was elected. I was in college. Things have really gone. But here's the reason why, right? Take a look at his favorable rating. 57% nationally. His unfavorable rating at just 38%. He's the most popular guy they could really put out there, Pam. I mean, you know, Joe Biden's approval rating is basically in the low 40s. Donald Trump, the former Republican president, obviously, his favorable rating is in the low 40s. This is the guy you want on the campaign trail. He's at least probably not going to alienate anybody, and he's somebody who could perhaps rally the troops.
And as we know, though, Barack Obama, I mean, look at his approval ratings back then. When he was president, he suffered a major seat loss in his first midterm, and a lot of Americans think the country was on the wrong track. There is a pattern there. How about now?
Yeah, so take a look here. Satisfied with the way things are going in the U.S. at this point in your first midterm. Look, I think that we would love if 47% of the country were satisfied with the way things are going. In fact, where we are right now in the latest Gallup poll, just 21% of Americans are satisfied with the way things are going in the U.S. If you look back at first midterms all the way back since 1982, that is the lowest percentage. Right nearby, of course, you were hinting at it, Pam, 22% back in October of 2010. Recall, Barack Obama's Democratic Party suffered a major seat loss in the House of Representatives. They lost 63 seats, even in the Senate, where they had more room to sort of lose. They still lost 6 seats in the United States Senate. So the fact of the matter is, this comparison between October of 2010 and September of 2022 is not the type of comparisons that Democrats necessarily want. But hey, maybe Barack Obama with this high favorable rating can bring in some more voters. We'll just have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait and see. All right, so we can't let you go without having a little fun. Of course, Halloween is on Monday. What are you going to dress up as? The big question, the burning question.
What am I going to dress up as? You know, I'm not really sure. I already kind of think I'm quite the card. So maybe I'll just dress up as myself, or maybe I'll wear a tie and actually look like I belong on television for a change.
What about carving pumpkins or watching scary movies? What are you going to do?
Right. So what do you do during the Halloween season? 39% of Americans, that's the top thing, say that they decorate their house. Maybe I'll carve a pumpkin. 37%. Watch a scary movie. Ooh. 36%. Dress up. 32%, which is not anywhere close to a majority. Visit a pumpkin patch kind of seems kind of nice, right? At 26%. Or go trick-or-treating, although I think I kind of need a kid to do that, me and my age.
No, you don't have to. Come on, you look... I mean this as a compliment. I feel like you could get by as, like, maybe
I'm a little tall. That's the only problem.
Okay.
If I shave.
If you shave.
If I
Okay.
shave, I could get away with
I
it.
think you could go trick-or-treating by yourself without a kid. I don't know.
I'm not sure I'm that much of a loser. Just a little bit of one.
Well, I visited a pumpkin patch today. It's a lot of fun, so highly recommend that activity.
That maybe I'll do that.
And I'll be
one day.
carving tomorrow, so
Ooh.
you know.
See, you have a fulfilling life. I, on the other hand, don't really. But whatever.
Not true, Harrington. As always, thank you. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
making us laugh. Be sure to check out Harry's podcast, Margins of Error. You can find it on your favorite podcast app or at cnn.com/audio.